I remember years ago, when I met Bill Johnson, I think I was 24, and the very first message that he preached, at least that I remember that he preached, was out of Matthew chapter 6. And everybody's heard a message out of Matthew 6. It says, seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. And Bill, you know how Bill says what Jesus said, but then when Bill gets done, you think Bill said it and Jesus didn't? People are like, I love when Bill said da da da. I'm like, oh, actually that was Jesus Christ, quoted word for word. I don't know how he does that, you know. And he said these words. He said, some of you have this list, seek first the kingdom and all his rights and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. He said, some of you have this list. First I seek the kingdom, then I do my ministry or my family, then my ministry, then my job, whatever. And he said, but God doesn't have a list like that. He only has first the kingdom and nothing else. And he said, if you're doing anything that isn't in the kingdom, stop doing it. And at first I thought, I'm not going to be doing much. Then Bill pulled my family into the kingdom. He pulled my business. And I began to realize that when I received Jesus, I became part of a royal priesthood. Like, because I'm now saved, I am sacred, and everything I do is sacred. And I had my ministry that I did with God, then I had my business that I did for God. And in 5 minutes, my business became something I did with God also, and I realized that my business is actually in the kingdom. I mean, you know, all the church is in the kingdom, but not all the kingdom's in the church. And I began to realize when I go to work, I'm going to the kingdom. I'm actually not working for the king, I'm actually working with the king. And I began to realize, well, if the kingdom is the church and the kingdom is outside the church, if I lay hands on the sick in the church and they get healed, why can't I lay hands on cars? Means I'm a mechanic and I'm a royal priest. Maybe God will fix cars. And the Lord began to show me things that were wrong with cars. I just put my hands on them where everybody was gone. Holy Spirit. I mean, if he's the great physician, why can't he be the great technician? I mean, hello. And suddenly I found out that the kingdom, seeking first the kingdom, wasn't what I thought it was at all. Everything I did was in the kingdom. Unless it was sin, then it shouldn't be in there. In there. Whatever. Anyway, you get the idea. So here's Peter. He's doing what he knows to do. He's fishing. And the Lord looks for him at the sea. You know this thing you're doing with fishing? I'd like to make you fishers of men. And I realized that what I do in the natural, how many know physical obedience brings spiritual release? What I do in the natural is actually preparing me for the supernatural. It's the old Karate Kid movie, which I've quoted almost as much as Braveheart. Those two movies are in the kingdom. I know they are. You remember the old Karate Kid movie where Mr. Miyagi's supposed to be teaching Daniel's son karate. You remember that? And for a week, he's painting fences, sanding floors, and waxing cars. And finally, he walks into Mr. Miyagi, who's sipping some suds in the front room, and he's like, hey, you told me I was going to learn karate. And here all I'm doing is painting fences and waxing cars and sanding floors. And I'm done. Mr. Miyagi turns to him and says, Daniel-san, show me paint fence. You remember this? No, Daniel-san. Up, down, up. Daniel-san, show me wax on, wax off. You remember this whole thing? And he realizes, you should have seen me on a camel, man. Seriously, you would have been impressed. Daniel was learning karate, even though he just thought he was waxing the car, painting the fence, and sanding the floor. And I'd like to suggest to you that you're asking God, Lord, I want to learn the ministry. And actually, you're learning the ministry right there, and you don't even know.